Okay, so this is my closed form garlic keeper, and I'm just gonna show you how to cut the top off. So you want to hold the X-Acto knife in this bottom, on this bottom ledge right here. And I want to go pretty slow, and I want to hold the top, because when it cuts through, it's gonna want to jump off. Which I think it may have cut through. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I'm still attached to my bat, which is helpful. So I can put my lid to the side for a second. Be careful with your X-Acto knife, and I can just clean this bottom up a little bit. And I'm already centered because it's on my bat, and it's also still attached, which makes it a lot easier. So I can cut down, and it's pretty wet, so I can also use my fingers to just compress a little bit. I can come to the side here and just get like that extra off. It's kind of sticky, it's wet, but so you can decide if you want to let this dry out a little bit, you can, or you can just kind of go for it. You can come in here and you can trim this out a little bit. If your walls are a little thick, this is a really good time to take care of that. Alright. So I might revisit this bottom, but first I'm just going to try to make sure that my top's going to fit on there. Alright, so now I'm going to play kind of a back and forth game to get this lid to fit. So I'm not too far off, and I'm going to use my base as my chuck. And I'm just going to make sure it's pretty centered. And I'm just going to do some really gentle trimming, because I kind of cut it off a little uneven with my X-Acto knife. So I'm just going to get it nice and even. I want to start thinning my flange out from the outside, because that's how it's going to sit into my piece. So I'm just doing a really little bit of trimming on the outside. Also because I don't want it to get too thin. And then I also want to make sure that this little belly button part right here, that I compress that. So you can either do it with your finger, just do a little smoothing in there. Or you can come in with your trimming tool if you know you have a little bit of weight. And you can just like clean that all up. Mine's pretty wet. You can see mine's like dipped down a little bit, so I could just like take some of this trimming stuff that's pretty wet and I could fill it in and just smooth it over with my fingers. I can come in and kind of really smooth it with my trimming tool, just so it looks clean when you open it up to use it. All right, so I'm gonna get all these boogers out of here, and I'm gonna turn it over. A little bit of a step there from. Okay, so fits pretty nicely. I'm gonna hold the top, and then this is the point where you can really make it look like it's a very, very exact fit. So I can trim right here on the side and just get it to line up exactly. You just want to be careful that when you're trimming down the side like this, you're not getting too thin, because it is a functional piece, so you don't want to be, you don't want to hit it up against something and just have the whole entire side break. And if your lid gets a little stuck and you can't pop it off, you can just wait a bit and it'll dry a little bit and then it'll pop off. So I can just take my finger and kind of round these edges off with my wheel spinning because everything's attached. Or I can take like a chamois. I don't really want to like re-wet anything, but I can definitely clean all this up right now. And just kind of double check your fit after you do that. Because if it's pretty wet, it'll bend to where you need it to go. If you want to do any trimming along here, you can. Any trimming along your side, just anywhere you feel like maybe isn't perfect from when you did your throwing, you can kind of touch it up a bit, right? We know that trimming is where we can kind of clean things up a little bit. So if I want it to be really smooth, you know, I could take a plastic rib or like a little chamois and just kind of really like smooth everything and kind of burnish it a little bit if you want. So I'm just gonna double check my bottom and make sure that I don't want to do any inside trimming. And then I'm gonna let it sit. I'm not gonna put my holes in it yet, but I'm a little thick down here, so I'm just gonna come in and really tighten up that bottom. And if it's too soft right now and it's kind of sticking back on itself, like wait a little bit. You don't have to do this right this second. But I'm just like flattening everything out. Oopsie, caught my edge. So just be careful because it can be a little tricky to trim the inside of stuff, especially if it is a little bit wet, which this is because it's the inside of something that you threw, so it's going to be a little bit wet. Oh, yeah. Can really make that a nice like hard edge on the inside. So this is one time that I would encourage you to trim the inside of your pieces because it's attached to your bat, so you don't have to worry about it flying off, and that's why I would encourage it. Just be careful every once in a while to like make sure that your lid is still fitting on there. Oopsie, because I keep shaving mine off. So you can also come in on this bottom part a little bit. And you might have to pick the tool that you like to do this with. This might not be the best one because I'm not getting that undercut. So I might need to switch to like my wooden knife. So I have it over here. So I can do, I'm not going to trim this, so I'm just going to do a little undercut. And then when I take it off my bat, I'll just kind of use my thumb to like thumb around the edge. I'll show you that. Before I take it off though, I'm just going to double check, make sure you still fit. Okay. And I'm going to cut it off. my bat because I know that I'm done with everything. Hopefully I didn't slice through the bottom because I know this one is really thin. But then I can just pick it up. And then I can just take my thumb and I can just gently go around and just thumb that off. All right. I'll let this sit on my board. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna let it dry just a little bit more. I want it to be at like that hard leather hard when I go to do the holes so they don't get so boogery.